Welcome back to the Vitera blogs. This is part 5 of a series covering my team's progression in the new server Vitera. This video covers from level 230 to 296. Last time, I ended the video with us hunting Cathedral -1 and promising we will be moving to a different spawn next, and that's what we did, to one a lot of players have forgotten about, the Nightmare Isles. And upon getting there, this is how I got welcome. Not even the first lap in, and I get a low HP screenshot, and that's one of the reasons people don't do this spawn as much anymore. It is hard on the EK, with some high combos and also with a confusing lap, but we are experienced players and the druid has been able to keep up, so we continue to hunt here despite the difficulties at the start, getting 4 levels on the first day, and as we got used to the spawn, it would get better and we were doing over 2.8kk raw XP. So similar XP to Cathedral -1 or -2, but with more profit and less contested. And satisfied with the spawn, we continued to hunt for about 5 days while finishing the bestiary for silencers, doing around 2 hours a day, going from level 230 to 245, and then we move on to a new spot. This time we chose to go Deathlings. This is a fairly common team hunt or duo spawn, which once again we might have been slightly under level for, but we are using our skills as players to our advantage. Also, if you're paying attention to my equipment, which is subpar for sure, remember this is a new server and options are limited, but what might be more noticeable is the use of a two-handed over having a shield. This is just a personal preference, but the spawns will have been easier on me with a proper shield. Leaving that aside, our hunts went fine with a few tricky situations, but overall happy with our new home, and we stayed here until finishing the bestiary for the spell singers. That took us around 5 days, where I went from level 245 to 262. Our experience in average was over 3kk raw, with a slightly low profit. That aside, within those days, I was also doing a bit of solo hunting, which kept my stamina from being full, but that's fine since we were not hunting 3 hours. On my side, I was doing mostly hunts in Deeper Banuda -3, which is great for getting task points, but also a bit of extra profit. But back to the team, now with the bestiary of Deathlings complete, we move on again, choosing this time a rather new spawn, the Nagas of Marapur. For once, this was a brand new spawn for all of us, so that made it a bit better. It was difficult, this time the risk is higher on the mages due to their chain attacks, but it was doable for our level. On our first hunt, we got to over 3.4kk raw, and by the end of our hunts, we were doing over 3.7kk. So experience-wise, this was a great spawn for us, and the profit was too good apparently, because since this recording, it has gotten a nerf. I don't remember making that much to be honest, but if the goal is to keep it an experienced spawn, I don't mind the nerf. In 2 days, I went from 262 to 270, and then during the weekend, where my MS and RP were out, it was a double loot weekend, which I didn't want to skip, so I tried out a few spots with the ED and NMS that tag along with us. The first one was Warzone 4, that ended up being a failure. Even with the double loot, it barely made sense to hunt, but the experience was so low that we couldn't continue. So instead, we headed to Winter Court. With higher profit and twice the experience, it made much more sense to stay there. So we did and hunted for about 1 hour. The next day, it was just the druid and myself, so we do Asura Mirror, and even though it was a double loot and the Asuras aren't the place to be for that, we wanted some experience as well, and it was good for our level range, doing around 3kk raw as a low level duo. It definitely had room for improvement, so the experience should be a bit higher, but that didn't matter and we stayed for 2 levels. Then the next day, the team was back together, so we continued to hunt Nagas, going hard for 2 hours and getting to 279, only to lose it right after by trying Alternum, one of the bosses of the Drinker quest, and possibly the hardest at this level. It was going fine, we actually had the boss on red HP, but then I got comboed by a beam from the boss. After that, the next 4 days consisted of more hunting in Nagas, going from 279 to 296, and that's where we stop hunting Nagas and move on somewhere else, which is where we will start the next part. But besides hunting, we had been doing some bosses as well, for example doing the Faceless Bane when we were at the Cathedral, some of the gold token bosses, although not consistently, and the Dream Core bosses, which are some of the best to do in new servers, with most of their items being valuable then, but also since they count as nemesis bosses, it's great for getting some early boss points. Other than my death on afternoon, they weren't that difficult, aside for maybe Malphur Mindgrinder, but with the use of SSAs, even that one can be doable. And that's all I got for this video. If you like the content, consider subscribing to keep up with the series. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Nightstar, and Dordo Slasher for supporting the channel further.